So where do I even begin?
Hey, Stu from UAV Futures here, and today I am excited. We're about to change somebody's life, and what I'm talking about is Zoe FPV. Huge shout out to her, and I should also say she doesn't know I'm doing this video. She hasn't contacted me about it. She hasn't spoken to me about it. I haven't told her that I'm doing this. This is going out to you guys so we can pretty much change the course of FPV history, really change somebody who is in dire need of our support. Our FPV community is amazing at banding together, and what better person to sort of champion behind than Zoe FPV.
Yeah, so you may have seen a video I posted about my life situation and everything going on. And you may have seen a video by Stu from UAV Futures telling you to support me and to change my life. And that's starting to happen. Things aren't great, but I have a lot more support and funds to do stuff that I did not have before that makes a lot more possible and a lot easier to do what I need to do to get through this situation. I still have to move, and I'm still not nearly making enough money to live where I'm living, but the community has reached out and there's been an outpouring of support. Steve, Bobblehead Biker, he has reached out to donate a 2007 Shasta Cheyenne motorhome with low miles. It's been sitting for a few years. It was parked when it was running, and they kept it running for a few years while it was parked by starting it up and letting it sit. And so it has bad gas and probably dead batteries. Well, most definitely dead batteries. And most definitely bad gas. So it has a couple problems, and it's 9 hours away from me. So I have to travel down there to go get the RV, but while I'm down there, I've got to fix the RV and actually get it running. So I will be doing that Thursday or Friday of this week, so really soon. Considering I have to be out of here by the 31st, and if I want to start going into weird court eviction process later, I might have 2 weeks past that. The landlord might work with me hearing how things are happening, but they want me out still. They want to renovate this place and start charging more for it. Since I've started living here, the rent prices, like I said in my last video, have gone up and up, and it has become really unsustainable to live here, at least with the funding that I have and the income level that I've been at. And especially with my health, it's been hard to take up a traditional job. And trust me, I've been looking, and I've had a couple offers that I've had to turn down in the past. Stuff that I haven't talked about because it's been absolutely heartbreaking. I mean, when a recruiter finds you and says, hey, Intel wants this, wants you to essentially work with them to travel around the country to demo their new drone light show project. Turning that down, that was heartbreaking. But knowing that I'd be working completely full time and that I would have, because of the requirements, literally no real downtime for health, and physically I just could not do it. So it was heart-wrenching at that moment. And it's been really, really hard to have to do that. And to try to find an employer that can work with my medical, I guess you could say, disabilities, because that's what it basically is and what I've been dealing with, and what a lot of people label it as. I mean, there's days out of the week where I can barely do anything because I'm in so much pain. When I go to events and stuff, if you see me smiling, I'm working through it. And at the end of the night, most of the times when I'm at events, I cannot sleep. And I lay in bed in pain until the pain starts subsiding enough for me to finally fall asleep. Which at events generally does not happen. It's really rough. So having to constantly be on the go, it's not doable for me. I need to have a slower pace of life, so to speak. Which is really heartbreaking because I want to do so much in this industry and I want to be able to do a lot more than what I'm physically capable of. And that's been really, really hard for me to mentally deal with. And I've been able to do a lot given what I've had to deal with. Like, I've taken my bad situation over the last several years of being stuck in bed essentially, and not even essentially, I was. Like, if I sat upright, I was in pain, and if I was even standing at that point in time, won't even get into what would happen, but it was very gruesome. Like, yeah, and, you know, I'm physically a lot better off than I was a few years ago, but I'm still far from okay. And a lot of you probably don't know, but I've been going to Stanford for pain management now for, I guess, about a year. And only now they've been able to get nerve blocks done, diagnostic nerve blocks, to try to figure out which nerve clusters are causing the problem and see if they can actually block the nerve signals from traveling up and essentially causing the pain. And they had really good success with one of the nerve clusters, and they're trying to target 4 different nerve clusters with the blocks. And that alone, one of them, which is the main site, was enough to give me relief for a couple weeks. And since then, it's been tapering off. And now I'm like back to where I was a couple months ago. And it's really hard to deal with because for a sweet moment in time, I had almost normalcy again. And then it's been a slow creep back into pain. So I'm scared that I'm going to have to constantly deal with that. There's really no permanent solutions to nerve damage and these kind of blocks. Most of the time, people much older than me get these kind of procedures over like 10 years, 15 years, or whatever, just kind of, you know, keep them out of pain later on. But there's really no studies long term what happens when you have 30 nerve ablations and they actually kill off your nerve 30 different times over 30 years. Like, your body is going to heal around that and try to do stuff. And it can, I am scared to death that I might have temporary relief from some of that for maybe a couple years. That might be sustainable. But over the long term, what that physically means for my body, killing off more nerves, physically causing damage to my body to keep pain from happening. The other alternative is a neurostimulator, which is essentially a device they put up against the nerve. Then you have another device on the outside of your body that stimulates the inner part of the device. And so that allows you to effectively shut off the nerve. The issue with that is that it can become less effective over time, and you have to have them most likely replaced after 5 to 7 years, at least from the doctors that I've talked to and pain management specialists. So it's, you know, it puts that, it extends that out. And again, that's for people much older than I am, and generally. And I don't know anybody my age or within 20 years of my age that has had any of these devices implanted and has had massive success for an extended period of time. So if anyone out there has, let me know, because don't know which direction to go on that. I just know I have to do something because the nerve damage and the nerve pain has been a thorn in my life for the last 5 years. And for those that don't live with it, pain can be, at least for me, it's always there, but it can be to the point where it's like an annoying noise in the back of your head to someone pounding on your face. And I deal with that weekly. There's like a couple days where if I'm laying in bed and not doing anything, not putting pressure on the nerves and resting, I get back down to that 1 to 2 scale where I can think. But then if I start doing stuff where I sit down weird or bend over weird and pick up the wrong thing, I can be in pain for days. And if it gets really bad, I'll go to the ER. Like a lot of people don't realize, but I don't even know if I keep it around, but it's in my backpack. I keep around a piece of paper for if I have to go to the emergency room. And I've been to the emergency room at least 25, 26 times, I think, in the last 3 years. And it's gotten a little bit better over time because I've gotten some medications and protocols in place to keep the major pain escalations from happening. But that means I have to lay down in bed, not do anything, and then essentially take pain meds, take muscle relaxers, and just wait. Like, 'cause that's essentially what happens when I go to the ER. Like, I'll end up puking, just a whole lot, and I can't control it, and then it'll like cycle. And what happens, the nerve pain in my pelvis and the 2 nerve clusters down there will start causing muscle spasms between like my whole entire lower body. And so those muscle spasms, what ends up happening is causing even more pain, which is basically cyclical. So it becomes worse and worse until I can't deal with it. So I've been getting better about catching it and trying to stop it before it gets too far out and I can't stop it. But there's times where it can sneak up on me. Because what happens is I'll apply pressure, for example, if I'm sitting down for like 3 hours on something that seems kind of comfortable. When I get up, I release the pressure, and for some reason on that pressure release, the stuff starts happening. That's when the pain will start setting in, and that's when I start noticing it the most. So it's really hard to gauge what I can and cannot do sometimes. And essentially, I've been living in fear of pain. And that's a sucky place to be. So, yeah, I will probably have to deal with this for the rest of my life. And that's hard to deal with. I still can't ride my motorcycle. I tried getting back into that. You may have seen a couple of videos of me trying to ride again and flying. And I was super stoked to do that and super stoked to try to get back to that. Even just for a few miles at a time. But literally riding 5 miles was enough to send me to the ER. And I had to go, I think just from riding the bike for a couple of weeks, I ended up going to the ER like 3 times. So like I tried, and I even bought a special seat for my bike. And it's a cruiser, so it's the most kind of comfortable layout you can get, and it's still not enough. It's just the vibrations with the nerve pain will make the nerve act up, and then when I get off the bike, it starts acting up. So essentially what happened last time I rode it is I rode it out to a spot to go fly. I flew for about 30 minutes, which was enough time for the nerve pain to start kicking in from riding there. And then by the time I had to ride home, I essentially had to pull over and go to the ER. So it was it was quite crushing. And I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything publicly. I didn't tell really any of my friends. That was my cross to bear. And it sucked. Because riding bikes was my life. And before FPV, that's what gave me solace. Before my workshop, before the drones, there were motorcycles. There was the recycle garage. This tattoo, that is the Recycle Garage tattoo. The only tattoo I have. That place means the world to me. It has meant the world to me all these years. It's been hard to not be a part of that community anymore. To not be a part of the motorcycle culture. To not wrench on bikes. To not ride and get back into that flow state. Like, I lost all that years ago. And that's when I found FPV. That's when I found all of the things that I loved about motorcycles. Besides the fact that they were fucking amazing and fun to ride and just absolute blast. It was the tinkering, the working on it, the community, the people in it. Like, when you rode, you were part of that community. There's like an unspoken bond between bikers. Like, if you ride, you're taking the same risk that everyone else is taking. And you're doing it for the same reasons that everyone else is at the core of it. And that's something that's an unspoken bond. And the same thing with FPV. Okay, I just had to... And the same thing with FPV. It's one of those things that when you fly, you become part of that culture. You become part of that community. You get into it most likely for a lot of the same reasons a lot of us do. For the escape, they get into the flow of it, to tinker on something, to create and make with your hands, and to have that visceral feedback of the world around you and to get out into it and to be free. Like, that is something that you only understand when you fly. Just as when you ride, you understand the risks and what you're doing and all of that. And no, I did not get hurt on a bike. People keep asking. That was not it. And if you want to know more, go back to the video on why I fly. I go over a lot of the medical stuff. But, yeah, going back to the flying, like, you are part of that community. You end up becoming one of the people. You're in the in crowd. I know locally, several pilots struggle to fly because of the cost. And I know some of the other pilots, if they have the gear, will hand gear to pilots to keep them flying. Just because they love to fly and they get the same thing out of it as we do. And that's special and should be nurtured. And FPV is really an amazing thing. And it's one of the things that's really changed my life. It changed my life once, and it's changing my life again. So, just wanted to say thank you. It's not great yet. Far from over, far from great, but with all the support and all the messages and all the reaching out, like, I have never been so humbled. And we can do this. We raised, as a group, the community has raised almost $2,500 for Mr. Motorface, the motorhome project. And the motorhome, again, being donated by Steve, Bubblehead Biker. I don't know why my brain keeps saying bobblehead or bubblehead. So I'm probably a bubblehead. But he donated, and his wife Jeannie, and thank you Jeannie and Steve, seriously, like, I can't stress that enough. They have offered up this motorhome, and while it's going to be a struggle to get everything ready in time and working and moved into, and essentially break down everything that is my shop, which is going to suck because I'm going to have to get rid of a lot of stuff that I just won't be able to fit. Like, Gabriel, I'm sorry, but I can't keep the nut ball. I don't think I have room for this anymore. He gave this to me. Gabriel, if you don't know Gabriel, up in Oregon, he built an amazing X-Class copter that had like 10 motors and had this crazy yaw dynamic. Really cool dude, really great audio engineer. So I want to say thank you, Gabriel, for this. I'm going to try to find a new home for it. Maybe one of my friends can take it in. The same thing goes for my Cappy. I don't know if I'll have room for that or my other wings. Like, I have 4 wings that are gonna be hard to fit. And that's rough. The mini quads I can kind of stuff anywhere, but the wings and this, I don't know. So, that's hard. I'm having a hard time dealing with that. I'm having a hard time dealing with everything still. Like, I am so overwhelmed that I know I'm missing stuff. But at the same time, I've written stuff down. I've been trying to make a plan, figure out the finances, figure out where the money needs to go, and how we can get the motorhome running, and how I can get back to at least a safe spot. So yeah, road tripping down this weekend. If you are in the Bay Area, if you are in SoCal, and you want to travel with me to Yucca Valley, or meet me down in Yucca Valley, or meet up with me along the way and travel down to Yucca Valley, then let's road trip down. Let's make this an experience. I'm going to try to record as much as I can and do some more raw content. More A-roll, less B-roll. And try to share the experience with you, because as of the last couple days, and thanks to Stu from UIV Futures, I feel like you guys are my boss. Like, with 200 patrons, like, I can't even fathom what that means to me and what that's going to enable me to do eventually. For now, I just need to get the hell out of Dodge and figure out what I'm going to do. So, yeah. It's not over yet. This is the beginning of the next era, the better era, the one where I win a little bit in life, maybe. I've put so much into this industry, and I've given it so much of my life, my energy, my time, my love, my passion, that a year ago, I honestly thought it was over. Like, seriously, November 5th, I remember that day very vividly. I was sitting on my bike during one of those trips up at a local spot, and I brought all my gear to go fly, and the first time in my life, a year ago, I could not fly. I had no energy or motivation. I was losing sponsor support. The housing situation was getting crazy. I had given the industry years of my life at that point, and had been told by multiple people that I could turn it into a career, and just couldn't. Like, I just could not figure out a way to do it, and couldn't figure out a way to do it with my health and how to make it all work. And that struggle was driving me insane. It was really depressing. Like, I've never wanted anything more than to be able to do this for a living. To be able to make this my full-time job. Not just flying drones, like testing them, developing out new product, actually pushing the industry forward. Because that is what I love to do. I love technology. I love technology. Since I was a kid, I loved technology. Because I know that it is the great equalizer and it is the great multiplier. It allows us to do so much. It allows me to talk to you right now. It allows me to get my message out. It allows me to fly. It allows me to consume content and enjoy my life. Like, there's so many ways where technology has made my life better. And by furthering technology, and by furthering the pace of technology, and supporting technology, and all of that, like, that's what's awesome. Like, there's so much possibilities. Like, with giant drone racing, I had spent literally a good year and a half working with different manufacturers and working with different people to make it a reality. Pro Class, they're using my ESCs, the motor spec that I had originally made, and propellers that I helped develop. Essentially, the entire power system for DR1's Pro Class is stuff that I helped develop. And on top of that, DRL also uses the ESCs I developed to push their quad to the fastest speed in the Guinness Book of World Records. So, I have done a lot for this industry, and I didn't make a single cent from any of that. Nor did I really get any recognition. And that bothered me because I have struggled so hard to make it work. And then I got to work. And then X-Class, being a part of that, promoting it, making that a thing, putting my energy into it, my love into it. Like, I helped make that a thing. The 4114 motors, I believe, one of the first, if not the first pilot to use those, which are now one of the standard motor sizes in X-Class. The X6 stator size, I was the first pilot to bring that out. That's, again, standards within X-Class right now. And now, it's really amazing to see how far it's gone. Like, X-Class and Giant Drone Racing doesn't need me anymore. It's got enough steam. It has enough people pushing it now and that believe in Giant Drone Racing that I could do nothing at this point and feel like I have succeeded in my mission of making it a reality. But at the same time, I would like to keep racing giant racing drones, and that's been really difficult. And that's been really hard to make work this last year with little sponsor support and with little money. Like this past season, I've had props sponsored to me, a couple batteries. Like X-Class Racing has mostly been out of pocket and out of Team Dysonian's income. So if you buy a Team Dysonian frame, you're also supporting me. So that kind of made it work. And it's still working, and we have some really cool stuff with Dysoni and I that we've been collaborating on. We have a whole new frame design that combines two of our best frame designs, the D9 and the California Soul, into one kind of hybrid design that uses parts and kind of layouts from both. And it's pretty cool. It's really durable, and the arms for like $20 a piece. You know, they're really cheap. So it's not a frame that's going to break the budget, and it's going to be something potentially that people can get into X-Class with without, breaking the bank. But realistically, the whole thing doesn't pay the bills. Like, I haven't made any money. I haven't made a cent from any of that. I haven't made a cent from any frames I've ever promoted. I haven't made money from my motors. I haven't made money from pretty much anything. Like, there's been a few times where I've gotten contracted out to do events or to film, but on the whole, haven't really been able to make a living out of it yet. So I'm hoping now, with your support, I can. And with your support, I can keep pushing an X-Class and keep pushing Giant Drone Racing. And do it maybe a little bit more independently than I've been doing in the past, which is relying on the support of manufacturers. And right now it's really kind of difficult because manufacturers are getting into the manufacturing war. Like, there's a lot of people getting into Giant Drone Racing and trying to make components for it. And it's heating up. So I don't know where that's going. And my heart has been in 3D freestyle. Like, if you watched my videos or if you've known me for years, you'll know that I like flying upside down. I like the ability to have basically like a collective pitch quadcopter. The ability to fly upside down, to mix that in with traditional 2D flying, has been a fun challenge for me. And so it's something I've gotten better at over the years, and something I consistently try to improve. It's not like the moment I get comfortable in 3D is the moment I try to change it up and do something new. And so lately I've been trying to work in yaw, especially work in yaw with the IQ motion control motors, because you can actually yaw while you're, 3Ding. I need to blow my nose. Okay. Sorry about that, I had to blow my nose. I was crying a bit. Yeah, so I don't want to, I don't want to ramble on. On top of that, I don't know if I can store all my trophies. I'm gonna have to like store / get rid of a lot of stuff. So look out for an auction soon. I don't know what I'm gonna do it, but I will be auctioning off a bunch of stuff, probably doing a couple different ones starting shortly. Just to raise a little bit more capital to help pay for the RV. Like, I'm almost to the point where I will have enough money to not just go down to Yucca to work on the RV and get it working, as in like physically myself and friends working on it, but enough money to tow it to a shop and have them work on it and get it running again. And if there's any weird issues I can know about before traveling with it to Santa Cruz, which would be a 9-hour journey. Essentially, getting the RV working and then going on a 9-hour journey. There's a lot that has to happen for that to happen. And I am so overwhelmed with trying to figure it out. But with your support so far, I think it's a possibility. I mean, I went from not having any kind of prospects, really, to having a really complicated, interesting, life-changing, and possibly amazing opportunity. And so I don't want to pass that up, and I want to do everything in my power to make that happen. So yeah, I just want to say thank you all again. And again, if you know anybody in the Yucca area, or the Santa Cruz area that wants to travel down with me, or somebody along the way that wants to join my merry caravan and make this all happen, let me know, because I could use the support. And quite honestly, I'm like an introverted person. Being extroverted is kind of draining, and traveling alone is difficult, and I don't want to do that. Yeah. So anyways, guys, thank you again. I really don't know what to say. I don't know how to thank you enough. And if you want to help out even more, and if you want to see me not just get by, but succeed, and possibly even do something great, like actually use this positive energy that's been given to me, essentially, and actually do something amazing with it, let me know. Let me know what I should do. And if you want to help out, help fund the project. The motorhome is going to be expensive. Like, it's not a cheap thing to do motorhome living. I've budgeted everything out, and even putting away money every month for repairs that will inevitably happen. It's still going to be really tight to make work. But it's doable. It's doable, and it'll work. I'm going to make it work. And hopefully I'll be able to make a lot of amazing content from that. And yeah, I'm just trying to stay positive and trying to stay focused and trying to stay moving. Yesterday was pretty much the only day where I was just like in absolute shock. I'm like, thank you so much. Like, I typed probably 300, 400 messages of support and replied to 200 messages from people, like from just people that didn't even fund me, just people that reached out to say, Zoe, your story has touched me, and I want to help out, even though I can't fund you. That just, well, how can I help? And again, I've never been so humbled. Life for me hasn't been easy. I mean, that's not the point. Life is supposed to be a challenge. But for me, it's been really challenging. Like, there really hasn't been a letdown in that challenge in the last 6 years. And while a lot of people think living here has been cush, I've only been able to live here because it's been barely able to make it work. Like, because of everything, like, I have barely any money after it all to do anything. And the only way that I've been able to have all these drones, all this equipment, is because I've had sponsors in the past that have given me the equipment. And people have also said, hey Zoe, why don't you sell your stuff? It's been given to me. I can't, I feel weird selling it. If I'm gonna be able to use it, I feel weird selling it. But this is a point in time where I might have to sell some of my stuff to get through it. And So yeah, I'm thinking about selling one of my backup but really clean running 3D setups, just because I've yet to sell any 3D setup, and I feel like now is the time. So if anyone's interested in that, let me know in a comment down below. It has KISS V1 ESC 24 amps, KISS V1 flight controller running Betaflight 3.51 Performance Edition. So it has dynamic filtering and all those other good features that Betaflight's added to it. It runs 4K, 4K, I believe. It's 4K, 4K, or 4K, 2K. 3D, it has the Hytrain 2207 2450 kV motors, and they're fresh, never been crashed. And I think it's got an Immersion RC Tramp, Foxeer antenna, and a Foxeer Predator Micro. So it's a pretty good little setup, and I know I'll probably, I don't want to say regret getting rid of it, but I could really use those funds, and I know there's a fan out there that might want to buy a piece of my history and something that I personally have used, personally have built, and realistically is kind of one of a kind. I mean, there's not too many people that have replicated my Flying Bear setups. I've seen quite a few people replicate my older Excalibur setups, but I've yet to see someone exactly do a replicate of my Excalibur setups. So yeah, if you want to help out more, let me know. If not, no worries. Now I'm just rambling on. So much to talk about, that's why. So again, guys, thank you again. I cannot stress that enough. I've probably said that 4 or 5 times now, but I am thankful. I don't think I've ever been so thankful or so humbled in my life, and I don't know how to handle it, really. I don't know how to deal with it, and it's taking a lot of my mental energy to be like, oh, this situation sucks. Oh, hey, roller coaster ride. Oh, hey, this is like, oh, hey, awesome. Oh, God, no. Ah! It's seriously been a roller coaster ride the last few days, and yeah. I mean, life's generally a roller coaster, but this one's like going max G and has some weird upside down turns. Anyways, thank you all again for making the Mr. Motorface GoFundMe happen. You're awesome. Leave a comment, subscribe to the Patreon, help me out. Let's make some magic happen in the air, because I know together we can do that, and I've never felt more positive about my situation in the industry right now. Like, Patreon is now funding me in ways that I was never funded before within the drone industry. Like, I've never had that kind of income level. And it's not that much overall. Like, it's really not even enough to live off of, which is kind of the issue. But it's now more than I've ever had as a sponsor. So, Patreon and my patrons, you guys are now my official main sponsor. The community's pilot, Zoe FPV. And I just want to say thank you all again for supporting me and supporting what I'm doing. It means the world to me to not have to just slum it on a couch and essentially not have money to work on anything or do anything. Or really make videos. Now I might have the chance to travel and make videos and make content that I want to create, make content that you want to see. Not just stuff that I want to make for myself, but with this new, I guess, energy that's kind of come into my life, and with my new patrons, like, you guys can really help steer the ship on what kind of content you want to see. And that's awesome. Like, that's what I really wanted, was for people to be able to tell me what they want, and to basically have the fans, the people that want to watch the content and want to support me, be the ones that I work for and make the content for. So this enables that. This just blows everything out of the water. Before this weekend, I had a goal of $150 on Patreon, where I'd make a video every month that was whatever my patrons wanted. At this point, all the videos are what my patrons want. Tell me what you want to see. Do you want to see more 3D flying, more vloggy stuff which I feel weird doing, but if you want to see it, I'll make it. I'll bite the bullet and figure out how to vlog and like do the "What's up, weirdos? Zoe here." You know, I don't know. I have a hard time feigning energy. Like, I've been so depleted of energy over the last 5 years, I have a hard time just like switching it on and being like, yeah! But right now I'm like, yeah! We can do it! Like, it's genuine. Like, I can actually feel a little more relieved now. And that's something that I have not had, and that's not something I've really been able to feel comfortable with. So I just want to say again, thank you all. Hopefully you didn't tune out with this last 15-minute video update. It's probably longer than 15 minutes, but whatever. And that's going to be even longer because I have some flight footage that I recorded the other day. And why didn't I just put that somewhere else in the video? I don't know. Had a lot to talk about. And realistically, I had recorded an update video on Saturday, edited it Saturday night when I was up until like 4 a.m. in pain and just like, I don't know what I'm going to do, blah, blah, blah. It was rough. And then eventually went to bed at 4 a.m. and then I woke up to Stu's video and the outpouring of support and had been stunned ever since. Like, the update video would be completely irrelevant. I was like, hey guys, thanks for the support. I'm up to like 40 patrons now and don't know what's going to happen, blah, 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 blah. And that was before the RV was funded. Funded as in it reached my initial goal. And that was amazing. And again, thank you all for the outpouring of support and love that you have shown. Like, it feels good. Like, I don't know how else to better say it, but I feel like I've been falling, and I just fell into a blanket of love. Yeah. Anyways. Yeah, falling into a blanket of love. That's what it's felt like. So, thank you. I don't know how to handle it. And yeah, so with that update video, I filmed some 3D flying and had some fun with my friends on Sunday, and I just want to share one of those flights with you. It was pretty fun. So enjoy this flight from my IQ motion control setup entitled Upside Down.
Backwards and forward, backwards and forwards and upside down. Backwards and forwards and backwards and forward, backwards and forwards and upside down. Backwards and forwards and backwards and forward, backwards and forwards and upside down. Backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards and this new upside down. Go up. Let's go down. Go. Go up. Let's go down. Go up. Let's go down. backwards and forward, backwards and forwards and upside down. Backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards and it's no upside down. Go! Go up. Let's go down.